Welcome back to another edition of All-Star AD on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest on All-Star AD, but first we want to give a shout out to our podcast partners, the Florida Coaches Coalition, We Coach, and the Global Community of Women in High School Sports. These are all great organizations. You should be a part of them. So check out Florida Coaches Coalition, We Coach, and the Global Community of Women in High School Sports. And now, please don't fast forward. Please take a quick listen to our podcast sponsors. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to set up and sell your tickets, how to scan the attendees that come to your events, and collect your revenue. And every step of the way, you'll have a dedicated client success manager that's providing hands-on support. That's every step of the way. And Hometown Ticketing is not just for athletic events. They'll also show you how to sell tickets for things like school dances, your school plays and concerts, even graduation. You'll find it all at hometownticketing.com. Simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs by Wall of Fame. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and let John and Gretchen and their team show you how to display the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Let them help you bring your school's legacy to life. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive for their support. You've heard me say before that we've got a Sideline Interactive indoor scoring table in our gym, and it's just fantastic. They not only raise money for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. We use ours for home games, of course, but we also use it for signing ceremonies, for pep rallies. It's tremendously versatile, and the customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com today and schedule a live web demo. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to thank our friends at Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com and check out their entire suite of platforms designed to help you as an athletic director do your job better. Snap Manage will help you create an entire website for your department. Snap Store allows you to order custom gear for everybody in your program. Snap Connect is their multilingual family engagement program. And Snap Raise is their fundraising platform. We've used Snap Raise with great success, and you can too. They've actually helped schools just like yours raise over $700 million. And they even have a program where you can get your money before you actually start your fundraiser. Does anybody else offer that? Go to snapraise.com to get started. We want to thank Huddle for their support. Go to huddle.com. Huddle is how the world sees sports. And they've got the tools that will help your teams play at the highest level. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And as I mentioned, Huddle has the tools to help your teams, your coaches, and your athletes play at their highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports, and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 6 million users and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thank you to Final Forms, the industry leader in forms and registration, but Final Forms is more than that. Final Forms can help your stakeholders with things like mobile accessibility. They got reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that come when you have an athlete in the house. Final Forms can help your coaches with things like attendance and communication. And for you as an athletic director, Final Forms can help you with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. You know, it's time that you talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with Final Forms. We want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and see how athletic directors are creating world-class marketing content for their school's social media channels. You can do it in seconds on any device, and you don't need any design experience. It's so easy. Even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com and use the podcast code ADPOD10 and you'll get 10% off. That's Gipper.com. Create custom branded content for your school's social media channel. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Athletic surveys are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire program. Athletic directors typically only hear from that 2% of disgruntled student athletes or squeaky wheel parents, and you need to hear from the 98% that really love your program. Athletic surveys from Lifetrack can give you that feedback from all of your parents, all of your student athletes. And if you go to athleticsurveys.com, you can find out more information. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your student athletes or your parents, you're really missing out. Talk to the pros at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of the All-Star AD. This is our series featuring 10 great women ADs who are sharing their thoughts, their perspectives on a variety of issues that affect all of us as athletic administrators. Our guest today is a good friend, Lisa Montgomery. She's a certified master athletic administrator, and she's the athletic director at West Orange High School in Winter Garden, Florida. She's a veteran of the podcast, also very active at state level as a member of our FIAAA Board of Directors. Lisa, thanks so much for being on All-Star AD, and what do you have for our listeners this week?
Thanks for having me, Jake. I want to talk about restoring civility to athletics. I know that's been a problem and an issue around our high school athletics, and not just high school athletics, colleges and even the professional scene. And so I think it's time we have to kind of take back our athletic programs and the way we behave, our attitudes and our character during the athletic events. I think it's a we problem. It's our athletes' problem. It's our coaches' issue. It's our admin and athletics, our athletic staff. And I think it's time we kind of step up and take control of what's going on. We are losing, of course, shortage of officials. We're losing officials. We're losing athletic staff. A lot of turnovers is approaching us with athletic staffs, and we're losing coaches. And so if we want to continue to keep athletics, then we have to address this now. So, the first thing I kind of want to talk about is, the shortage of officials that we're seeing across the country. Of course, here in our Central Florida area, I think we have to do a better job of greeting our officials. We have to do a better job when they arrive, that our AD staff and our admin, our athletic staff are there for them, escorting the officials on and off of the field. Even, possibly providing them with some beverages and snacks just to make them kind of feel welcome. Sometimes maybe we can get our boosters involved in providing them and greeting them with snacks or drinks, or sometimes it's just a thank you for what you're doing and we appreciate you. But we also have to start too with our coaches first, and them making sure they are mentors of the athletes, setting up character programs for our athletes, making sure our coaches are aware of how they behave, and being role models for our athletes. I think that's where we start, and that includes our AD staff. That's me included, and kind of it making a trickle effect of being role models and how to behave. We all have to take a part in it. Like I said, the ADs, admin, spectators, parents, coaches, and players. And the change has to be monitored. It has to become a norm. And if we're not making it a norm, then it's not going to change. And we have to address those major issues. And as an athletic staff, that's us. As I think the famous words of Jay Haynes, we have to not watch the sport, and we're monitoring the sport. And I know with that being said, things aren't going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have to start putting some things in place to make our environment better and our culture better. So some things, I think we kind of have to think about is, maybe having those preseason conversations with the appropriate behavior with our coaching staff on the field and off the field. Simple questions and statements about like setting up the right example, how to be the right example and decrease these incidents that we're having with it, whether it means yellow cards or ejections, self-reflections during the week. And maybe that's either with the coaching staff or even with athletes. We can change our behavior and be an example. I think myself included, using positive recognition to our athletes. Maybe that means setting up some type of sportsmanship pin or accolade or award, but make it open for all to see. You may not want to wait till the end of the season, but maybe do something that night that you see something, a good act of sportsmanship. And it just doesn't have to come from an athletic administration, but it can come from our administration in our high school. So we also too have to remind our athletes of their responsibilities, that athletics is a privilege and it's not a right. And also setting those consequences if athletes are misbehaving or not showing appropriate sportsmanship during games and practices. We also need to commend the teams that are conducting themselves appropriately. And then in turn, you could have some type of program too, where not just our school, but maybe if we did some type of situation where we were giving pins out for great sportsmanship, we could also give it out to the opposing teams that we play. And whether you wanted to do that each game or each month, that would totally be up to, that individual school. So those are some of the things I think we can do. With our poor fan behavior, I've been trying to take the initiative with our NFHS and NIAAA with the bench bad behavior. And we're starting to push that initiative in our school. I've also taken a heed actually before then of putting a sportsmanship sticker, if you will, out on our athletic website that actually gets parents involved, where it's the parent seat from the NFHS. And they can watch those videos as well as the NFHS with the sportsmanship course for both athletes and coaches. I require all my athletes, if there's a yellow card or red card involved and they get ejected from a game, that they have to watch that sportsmanship course. But I also pull my athletes in and we have a long discussion on how to behave and how it's not going to happen again and what the necessary steps we're going to take for it not to happen again in our programs. So yeah, but as far as the fan behavior, I think too, where it's kind of hurting us with the officials, we have to make our presence known. That's with our admin and our athletic staff alike, even if that means a little extra security. But I think it also means too is trying to, or understanding how to talk to people. And sometimes that means laughter to kind of calm people down. I know I've had times where I've approached spectators and because of the way they act or, yelled out at an official, I've brought that parent down or that spectator down and said, hey, do you mind if I speak to you for a moment? And I'm not kicking the athlete. I'm sorry, I'm not kicking the spectator out initially. I'm just having that conversation with, hey, we're here to play sports. We've got to show that we're the better people in this sport, whether you disagree with the call or not. I said, I don't always like calls all the time either, but, I have to show to my athletes and to my coaches that I can control my behavior. Because at the end of the day, we're in control of ourselves. And if we can get a control of ourselves, then we've all done our part. So sometimes it's about just pulling that spectator aside and kind of getting that conversation going. And usually they calm down and we don't have any issues. I know in the 14 years I've been doing it, involved in athletic administration, I think that I've only had to remove one spectator because usually those conversations usually help. And then you're not doing it in front of everybody. No one likes to be, the center of attention when they're getting reprimanded. So pulling that spectator aside usually helps. And also sometimes having some law enforcement involved also kind of calms those fans down too.
Yeah.
But no, I think just sometimes the way you approach somebody also helps that situation. I had a parent come out to me one time, and sometimes you don't even know that people are paying attention. And they stepped up to me and they said, "I really applaud how you handle your athletes." And when we have we have a 12th man, not really a sixth man, but we have a 12th man. And so they come to a lot of games, and the kids sometimes they get into the heat of and the spirit of the game, and sometimes don't always say the right things. But it was just about me going over to those athletes and just talking to them in a nice manner and say, "Hey guys, we don't act like that. We're West Orange. We show better sportsmanship than that. And this is what you can and cannot do." And so the parent approached me and said, "I really like your approach to the athletes. You're calm. You talk to the kids and they respond to you." They were like, "Good job on your part." And so you just never know when, other people are paying attention to the way you try to control a situation. But again, we have to start respecting all players and fans of opposing teams. I can't stress enough, be that role model. Don't harass opponents or officials. We want to recognize and support the efforts of all coaches, officials, and school administrators, and honestly support your children and your athletes with positive actions and encouragement. I'm sure you've seen it before, Jake, where we've had parents that yell at their kids on the court and on the field. And sometimes I turn around and I was like, is this your student? Is this your athlete? Is this your child? And wow, I don't know how I would react if my parent was yelling at me across the field because they thought I was, not working hard enough or not, missed a play here or there or something, and I just think parents need to kind of be supportive in that role of their children. Sometimes parents just need to be parents and not try to be coaches. And so I think, when we can turn all those kinds of things around, I think we'll have a better culture with the civility of sports and athletics that we see. It's at this point, it's kind of that thing where you want to be kind to everybody because we're all human, right? Our officials are human. They go home at night just like we do. And, we all deserve that respect. And so I think if we put it in that perspective and people remember that on a regular basis, I think we can grow out of the culture we've kind of developed into a not so kind situation, into making it more a pleasant environment and a nice place to be, and sports to be. I feel like it was a saying, I think, from Nelson Mandela: sports can change anything, right? I think it can change the culture. We have that ability to do that because that's the time that we all unite and we come together, no matter who we are and what languages we speak and what color we are. And so I think that's still the place that we can change the culture of what's been going on and that we've been seeing in a daily situation. Some other things that we can do though too, and I know this has kind of been going around, which I think, and I applaud it, and I've gotten my student athletes involved in SGA and our National Honor Society involved too, is making those PA announcements and they come from the students. And I think the parents kind of respect that a little bit more and they understand it and hear it, and it comes off better hearing it from students. And sometimes our student athletes that are just that are playing that particular night, where the parents, I think, tend to have a mutual respect for it, and kind of, it calms them down as well. I also use social media to promote sportsmanship as well, whether it's on our IG accounts or our athletic website. We also have a PTSO that puts it out there as well. And we have some really good people too for our regular website, for our school website, that we push those initiatives out there about sportsmanship. Of course, signage would be another huge thing. Just like we kind of have digital tickets, we have posters with our digital display of sportsmanship. And just putting those signs out there kind of reminds our spectators of how to behave. And so I think all those things are going to help kind of identify the problem and hopefully advocate for change in our culture with sportsmanship and civility of our athletics.
Yeah, Lisa, you covered so many great points there. Obviously, the student athletes themselves, your fans, the parents, but you led off with what I think is the most important one, and that's the coaches working with their AD. As someone who still officiates, varsity boys and girls basketball games here in Florida, I can tell you that whether it's initiated by the AD or whether the coach is doing it on their own, that's the single biggest factor in how much that official is going to enjoy the game. If the coach is coaching the kids and, maybe, hey, why was that a foul during a timeout? And, he's asking or she's asking for an explanation rather than, hey, you missed that. Hey, that was a foul. Oh, come on, you got to call that. If the coach is coaching their kids, the student athletes, they're going to follow that lead. You talked about modeling. The fans are going to follow that lead. It might be the worst call in America, but if the coach just goes along and coaches and doesn't go ballistic, throwing their arms up in the air and stomping and yelling, the fans, they're just going to move right on with it. And so, again, I applaud you for the work that you do at your school with your coaches, your kids, because it does make a difference. It really does. Okay. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, find out more about what you do at West Orange High School, or just, connect, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
You can reach me at westorangeathletics.com or at WOHS Athletics for our Instagram.
Okay. Lisa Montgomery, Certified Master Athletic Administrator, thanks so much for sharing on All-Star AD this week, and all the best moving forward with your spring sports schedule, which I know is already starting.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it.
For our listeners, we do this every single week, and we upload the Zoom videos to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Come back next time for another episode of All-Star AD, and just about every day for the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, thanks again for listening to All-Star AD. Before you go, please, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. All 8 of these sponsors are great. You should be using them if you're not. And I've used every single one of them as an AD or as a coach, with one exception. That's Hometown Ticketing. But I was retiring just as Hometown Ticketing and online ticketing were coming into vogue. But I've talked to hundreds of athletic directors across the country, and they all swear by Hometown Ticketing. So go to hometownticketing.com and check them out. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. It's all about branding and social media. If you're not taking advantage of that as an AD, you're really missing out. Go to Gipper.com, start creating world-class content for your school social media channels. Use our podcast code ADPOD10 and get 10% off. That's Gipper.com. Also want to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com. Check out all the things that they can do for you, your coaches, and your athletes. That's huddle.com. Want to thank Snap Mobile. They offer a variety of different platforms. Snap Raise is their fundraising platform. We used it at our school with great success, and you can too. They even have a program where you can get your money before you start the fundraiser itself. Does anybody else offer that? I don't think so. That's snapraise.com. I want to say thanks to Final Forms. Final Forms can help your stakeholders, they can help your coaches, and they can help you as an athletic director. Go to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. Finalforms.com/Jake. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com if you're looking for the coolest way to display your school's record boards or your school's Hall of Fame. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At our school, we use surveys for just about everything, for teachers, for coaches, for parents, and for our student athletes. And the information that comes back is going to be overwhelmingly positive. And you need to hear that. That's a tremendously valuable tool to share with your principal, with your school board, or with that squeaky wheel parent that wants to complain. 98% of your parents and kids love the program. Take advantage of that useful information. Go to athleticsurveys.com for more information. And we want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor scoring tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. They not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on All-Star AD.